Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ebenezer Demensa. I'm a trading coordinator with the Temple SBDC. We are glad to have you once again this afternoon for this second seminar. The Temple SBDC helps small businesses start and grow. We do this through our no-cost consulting webinars such as this and other training programs. We are proud to be part of a nationally accredited network of SBDCs with over 1,000 centers across the United States. You have joined us today for this second webinar, which is about pitching your business and creating your pitch. A follow-up email will be automatically sent to all attendees within the next 2 business days after this session with all the necessary materials required for the attendees to follow through. All attendees are currently muted. However, we encourage that you put out your questions in the Q&A chat box so that Mark can be able to answer them respectively. Now, I'll turn the presentation to Mark to continue. Mark, you have the floor now.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. First off, I really welcome everyone here. It's a great week that we're having down here at the Microeconomic Week for Development. This is a great opportunity for me to talk to you a little bit about pitching your business. My bio is I owned a couple companies here in Philadelphia, one a real estate company, one a business consulting company. And I think this is critical to your business success. And we frame it as a pitch, but it's really a presentation, with just a shorter version of one. So we're going to get started. We're going to have some fun. We'll entertain all your questions. I'll leave some time for that. And I just want you to think about 3 things before we even get started. And if you take a piece of paper or put it in your phone, just write down these 3 words. It's who you are, what you are, and why would I want to buy it? Or what do you need? Those are the 3 things: who, what, and why. So just write that down, put it on a piece of paper, and just think about that as we talk about, creating a pitch for your business. With that, we'll get started. These are the services we provide at Temple. We are a full service, no-cost consulting arm. Our funds are paid for by the federal government, the state, as well as Temple U. There's a lot of facts and figures about, how many businesses are started, how fast they open, what's going on, how many people they influence and employ. It's very important. Most of you, I commend for opening up a business and keeping it open or looking to scale it. So we can move on from that slide. The services, please reach out, look at our website. You'll be able to see the complete outline of the services that we provide. There's a full complement. I want to share with some of you, not only do we help businesses get started and grow, but we can help those businesses scale. So if they're looking at adding a line or trying a new market, or in some cases, even closing shop and they're looking to sell the business, we can also do that. So, we're a wealth of resources. Many of our consultants have backgrounds in different areas. So it's really a great place for you to get some, basically no-cost consulting. So with that, we'll move on. We do have training programs, training webinars. We do in person. We have 3 offices, one in Ambler, one on North Broad Street at Temple, and one in Center City. We have a host of other classes that you can participate in. We're about to start the construction management certification course on Saturday, I think, which is a great program, runs over 12 months. That is a course that you have to pay for, but you come out and you have a construction management certificate from Temple. So that's a very good class as well. But we have a host of other classes. My profile, I won't go into it. My wife made me wear this shirt because it pops, she says. So my background is I grew up here. I love it. I live here, and I'm really fortunate to have the opportunity to work at the Temple SBDC. All the other mumbo jumbo doesn't count right now. But if you need to talk to me, I look forward to talking with you You have to register as a client, but I look forward to working with you in every capacity. Let's talk about what the agenda is. Every good presentation needs to have a quick agenda of what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the elements of a pitch, how to prepare a pitch or a presentation. We're going to give some examples on them and some templates. We may go into a few practice sessions. I'm not sure we'll have time for that within the hour, but we'll also be able to entertain questions. But remember, the 3 key words I want you to get out of this is who, what, and why. Who are you as a business? What products are you selling, or what services are you going to provide? And why would I, as the client or the customer, want to buy those services? Those are the 3 things. Everything else is mumbo jumbo. Those 3 things are critical. All right, let's talk about a pitch or a pitch deck. A pitch is a short presentation that tells your audience what your business does, who your customers are, and summarizes your key accomplishments. For example, my name is Mark Tucker. I own a business consulting firm here in Philadelphia. We offer consulting services to help companies grow. Our focus area is real estate, interior design, and construction. I look forward to working with you to help you meet your business objectives. So I just did a short pitch. I just threw it out there. But you need to be able to deliver that quickly, concisely, and make sure at the end of it, you ask for an action step to get the person moving forward. You all need to be able to frame that type of presentation, verbally, written, as well as over the internet as well. So just sharing, something quick. I also like a 1-page summary. A lot of people have a complete, I want you to see my deck, and the deck has 68 slides. Most people get lost in the first 3 things they say, or the first 3 things they read on a page. They really do. You get so much verbiage. So remember, sometimes less is more when you go through it. I took this deck and reduced it down. The deck initially had like 55 slides. I would go wacky, talking for 55 slides. So we reduced it down to the critical ones. But I think it's critical as a startup and an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you understand how to sell and market your business and be able to do it concisely and provide information to your prospective client. Let's go through this, and we're going to go through it step by step, and you will get a copy of the complete deck. So we'll go from there. What is your ask? Know your audience. One of the biggest things that we do wrong is not understand what type of audience we're going to be in. If you're an automobile manufacturer, and you go into an audience that doesn't use or want to use automobiles, you may want to not do the same pitch, in this case. So you need to understand the audience that you're speaking to. And if you're going to a broad-based meeting, you can take that, frame and put it in the back of your brain and use it where appropriate. Now, if you go to a meeting or a presentation or an audience of people that are in your business or have some familiarity of your business, it's different. You'll frame it a little bit different. You always need to do this. A good comedian does it all the time. He understands his audience, and then he'll frame the jokes that he uses within that audience. So if you think about that analogy I just gave you about a comedian, framing the meeting and framing his presentation, that'll help you frame yours as well. But you got to know your audience. Here's something that I think is critical, and I did want you to read this slide. So I'm going to stop a minute. I want you to read it, and I want you to digest it. I think this is important. I think it's very critical that you're able to tell your audience exactly what you do and what you want from them. You need to be able to do that and feel comfortable doing it. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I talk to in my consulting role have wonderful ideas, manufacturers, business consultants, freelancers, a wealth of other individuals and talents. They're great. But when you ask them, do you ask your audience what they could do for you? Do you tell them what you could do for them, which is more important? But do you ask them for an action step? An action step would be, here's what I'd like to do. I'd love to have an opportunity to have a cup of coffee with you to discuss this. That's a way you can do that. So just remember this quote. It's the one that you'll see here that I made sure was included. Let's talk about the different types of pitches that one should really have in his or her back pocket. An elevator pitch. It's brief. It's about 3 minutes. And basically, it's an introduction to your business. And a good example would be if you get in an elevator with someone, and that's why it's called an elevator pitch. By the time you go from the top to the bottom, even if it's 2 or 3 floors, you should be able to share with that individual what your company does and how to get in contact with you if they want to move forward. A sales pitch tends to be a little longer. It's not really a pitch. I think of more of a presentation, usually 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Usually it focuses on a specific customer need or a solution that you can provide. And usually, and most importantly, I think it wants to highlight your value in the marketplace. An example, when I was in the real estate world, I would meet with different individuals. And one of the biggest things a lot of entrepreneurs and real estate companies have is they're always looking for new projects. So I knew that if I came in and understood their business model and stated somewhere in my presentation that by working with me and hiring my firm, I would help them find and I could help them source new opportunities, I had a hook. Now, you got to realize who you're talking with within the organization. So if I'm talking to an operational guy, he may have not bought off on that. But if I'm talking to anybody in sales and market, and usually in the executive level, they want new business and they want very well qualified new business. That's something you need to understand. So make sure you can highlight your unique value proposition within your sales pitch and within your sales presentation. The last one, which a lot of us want to look to in the future to get additional funds, is to an investor. A little longer, highlights your current business, where you sit today, and your revenue potential. You need to know your financials like the back of your hand. You need to also understand how your business can make money in the marketplace. So if you're pitching to an investor, he wants to know, all right, where do you sit today? What are you going to offer me to provide you the funds to grow your business? How fast will it occur? And is this something that and then they're going to ask and answer the question is this something I want to invest in? The first assessment is going to be you individually, how you look, how you present yourself, and also how confident you are in delivering the results. Many of you watch the TV show that's currently on now that talks about I guess it's Shark Tank, and you'll see individuals come out and they'll get blown away and just from how they carry themselves when they walk out. Then you'll get some individuals that we may think are quirky, but they're captivating. They know their business, they know their financials, and they get the money. So it goes to show you, it's not one type of person or another type of person. It's the person that knows his or her business, knows the potential, and also can deliver it clearly and concisely. But remember, an investor wants a return back to him. Let's talk about the elements of a pitch. As we talked, you need to know who you are, who you're for, what you do, what makes you different, and what's your ask. Those are the key elements of an elevator pitch. As we mentioned, you should be able to do that concisely, quickly, and cleanly. Now, everyone that's on this presentation today should practice that. They have to practice. Now, a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to be in public and do it. But if you're going to be selling your business in the marketplace today or over the internet using the various social media channels we may have, you still need to be able to do that. Now, I'm going to ask all the folks out there, basically, do you on occasion have the opportunity to watch QVC? Everyone's going to raise their hand because everybody here, even the guys, watch QVC on occasion. Their sales reps on that show are absolutely excellent at their job. They're the best of the best. They're quick, they're concise, they know the products they're talking about. They're always energized about the product they're selling. I mean, if you can get energized about selling an expandable hose, you can sell almost anything. And they flip from product to product. So think about them when you're thinking about your company and how you're going to move your company and provide a pitch. Think about that. Just think about the QVC model. Okay? Very critical. That's an example for you. Let's talk about the elements of a sales pitch. Here's something that's very different. We talk about the hook. Well, the hook basically is number 2. What's your customer's concern or what's your customer's problem that you can help him or her solve? What is it? You need to understand it. Now, a lot of us that are on the meeting today, the webinar, will say, well, I don't know that. Well, you need to ask questions and be an active listener to make sure you have a clear understanding of what the client's issues are, because you can't solve them if you don't understand it. An example, you go to the doctor and you haven't been feeling well. The doctor doesn't tell you you have a stomach ache or you have a headache or you have a pain in the chest or you have a pulled muscle. He asked you, can you tell me and can you explain your symptoms? Same thing. If you're in you're about to do a sales pitch, you need to understand clearly what the client's issues are. Now, it varies. If you're have a pizza shop, it's different than a high-end consultant, but they're all the same. You need to do your due diligence and ask important, open-ended questions to find out what the client's issues are. Very critical. You need to know your value proposition. You need to also be able to build credibility pretty quickly. And then you need to be able to ask, what would you like the client to do for you or the customer to do for you? You need to understand that. So those would be basically the 6 components of a standard sales pitch or presentation. Is there any questions out there that I can address on that right there? Let me stop right there. I want to make sure I capture all the questions. Ebenezer, can you check for any questions that we have?
You have to download it again. It's public computers. Hold on to personal stuff. So you have a flash drive that you can use to put it back in?
Would someone needs to turn off their, if you could turn off your mic, we can hear you here.
Go in your email and then download it. Yep. What do you have? Gmail, Yahoo?
Ebenezer, can you turn that off?
Yeah, hello?
Yes. Is there any questions out there?
No, there are no questions yet.
All right, very good. We'll continue. Elements of a funding pitch. A funding pitch is a little different. You need to know your customer's problem, obviously. You need to have a solution that you've really thought about. You've done the financial workup of it. You need to understand how your products and services will help him meet his or her objectives. You're actually looking at a target market. You need to understand what that market is. And a good example would be a cleaning company. Let's say you're a cleaning company and you're just starting out. You're not in a position to go after the large businesses. But if you took a small framework, and let's say a small framework could be a zip code, and said, I want to look at all the nursing homes within this zip code and offer my services to those nursing homes. First thing, you know they're going to have to be clean. Most have internal staffs that do it. So you need to look for ways and look at your competition that's going after that, but you need to understand the marketplace. Now, as we go through, we talked about differentiating your pitch, and it doesn't have to be flowery. You don't have to, create a brand new light bulb. Some of it may be you're quicker to market, your follow-up is excellent, your client references are high, and you offer ongoing discounts if they do and buy a certain amount. There's different ways to differentiate yourself. You also need to have, as a part of your funding, how will you develop your marketing plan? These are all things that when you're doing your funding pitch, you need to understand from the client's perspective, because you're asking that client, in this case, the investor, to invest in you to develop your company. So these are things you need to have as the elements of your funding pitch. Your unique value proposition. What are the selling points that matter to your customer? Now, these are some of the critical ones. They're not all of them. The price is always important. The quality that they're getting, the convenience of the product and the service, the delivery of the product. It can't be all of them at once, but it can be a combination. I love the concept that you see on the slide with the rose, the red rose sitting there, because you want to understand each client may be a little different. So you need to understand what will your value proposition be to that individual client to solve his or her needs. That's what you need to be able to figure out. All right, we're going to use an example here. And the example, it so happens to be a cleaning business. And the customer has a couple different ones. So you got like 3 different customers here that you're talking about. One is a home or an office is dirty. The second is a multifamily business construction projects that needs to be cleaned, probably before leasing and selling the units. And the third is a family that basically is running around with sports with their kids on the weekend, and they don't have a time really to clean their house. And it happens. I mean, there's a lot of businesses out there, and I know of a couple cleaning businesses. That's all they do is residential cleaning. They're damn good at it. They can get in your house and really do a very good job, quickly, timely, and they're pretty inexpensive, but they have it down to a science. They work as a team. They always do a great assessment of the family and also of the family's conditions before they offer a price. So they understand the client's problem. Here's some solutions for the clients. And you notice they're all 3 different solutions because you have 3 different issues. We clean your office and residence. Okay, very simple. They clean the office, right? We prepare your residential building to ensure that the units look their best for prospective renters. They're framing what their solution is to meet the client's issue. Now, the third one is kind of unique. We give your family back time. That's critical. Time is critical. If you can save your clients time, no matter what business it is in, it's always an advantage. It always is. So those are some things that the 3 solutions that are outlined here actually answer the 3 questions that we're trying to broach. Just an example, so use it as that. Let's talk about the products and services that you would pitch as a part of that. Number 1, we clean your office and residence on a regular schedule. So you're going to be going in, whether it's every other week, every weekend, maybe on every Monday, and they're going to take care of cleaning the whole house, whatever it may be, the office or the residence. Now, number 2, we deep clean the unit to remove all dust and debris from the construction to ensure that the house or the residence or the building is ready to be moved into. So it's really kind of focused on that industry. We clean your home on a regular basis and we work within your schedule your needs and your budget. That's a pretty strong one because we work on your schedule. You know, if a person works at night and the cleaning needs to be done in the daytime, that's good. But if the person, let's say, we need to reverse that. Let's say they're a night worker and they need you to come into their house, a day worker, and they need you to come in at night sometime, that when you're not there, obviously, you can get the work done. Sometime that works for you. Let's talk about the target market. It needs to be definable. What is the target market? What characteristics do they share? Now, in today's world, we have numerous venues to get information on this. You can go to Vertical IQ, you can go out to Google in general, and you can define for most clients what the characteristics of that business is, and also understand the common characteristics. Yesterday, I was investigating not nursing homes, but daycare centers in the Philadelphia metropolitan region. Something very simple. I needed to understand the issues they were having, their profit and loss information, as well as how they were handling reimbursements from clients. I was able to Google that. I got that information probably within 6 or 7 clicks. So the information is there. So you need to have a definable client base that you're looking at. The characteristics should be meaningful. They should relate to the client's decisions to buy. Now, this third one is sizable. That's based on the size of your client. A lot of entrepreneurs want to go after the large client first. I would tell you, you want to go after a client that you can handle and do a great job with, who becomes a strong referral for your business and scale up. You don't want to go after, and I'll give you an example. A cleaning company goes after a building and they get the building and they do a very, very poor job. The property manager of that building, in turn, goes to a meeting, and the first question that comes out of his mouth, not the first question, but the first answer comes out of his mouth is, I just hired this cleaning company. They did such a poor job. And the guys are going to ask, well, who did you hire? XYZ company. Man, you've ruined your brand, your marketing, and your first job, your first big job, rather than take the approach, scale up, do a great job along the way, build a referral network, build a client network that will support your business and act as an advocate for it. That's critical. We talk about reachable. How will you reach your clients? Different sales channels. Now, we talk about the word sales channels. In essence, how are you going to get clients to know about your business? Today's market, we have social media, we have flyers, we have in-person, one-on-ones, we have presentations. You can do a lot of different things. Now that COVID's over, I tell my businesses that work with me here at Temple University, you need to get in front of your client. However you can, you need to get in front of them. And if that means you're going to be doing a presentation in front of a group of them, that's great. Because if you do a great job, you can follow that up, take with your action steps, have opportunities to really focus in and hear their individual needs and wants, and then solve those needs and wants for that client. So try to get in front of your clients as soon as possible. All right. For this model that we have a couple different groups that they're looking at. The target market were parents and guardians in the West Philadelphia and adjacent neighborhoods for this cleaning company. They were also looking at the adult members that work outside the home, because the cleaning would be taking place, obviously, when they're not there, and the people in the houses would not have the time to clean themselves. It's funny that one or more minor child living in the home, okay. Matter of fact, in my day, the children were responsible for chores in which they would help with the cleaning, but I understand that one. The fourth one there, children are involved in extracurricular activities. Yes, major. Today's framework, a lot of the parents are running around all weekend. So that's an opportunity for a cleaning company maybe to reach out to. I love number 6 or 5 on there. Willingness and able to pay for the services. You can sell yourself. You can have great services. But if your client can't afford your services, you're wasting your time. Pure and simple. Now, it does not mean that you don't offer discounts, put together deals for clients. In today's climate, you need to provide opportunity for smaller individuals to do business with you, and you want to do business with them because they grow into larger companies. They expand, they get acquired, relationships carry. So understand, you need to understand your client's ability to buy your product, but sometimes you need to have a model in which you're flexible enough to create a solution for your client that will make them feel happy and you still make money. I don't want you taking on jobs that you're not going to make money from. Okay? This company is going to look to expand from West Philadelphia into Fishtown in 2025. So I guess this slide is old, it should be 2026. But they're having a plan. That should be in your marketing plan or your business plan, and you should update that plan. So that's something you need to have. Let's talk about competition. Here we go. If you don't understand the competition, you won't be in business long. Everyone get that? If you don't understand the competition, you won't be in business long. Why do you need to know that as a part of your pitch? Because you need to understand the competition that's in the marketplace. You need to investigate them. You need to understand what's going on. And if you're putting together your presentation, you need to understand your competition is probably doing a similar presentation. How many people in this group, by a show of hands in this case, have been in a situation where numerous companies are bidding on the same opportunity and they have to do presentations behind one another? Like one person gets 45 minutes, there's a 15-minute break, and the next person comes on. I know I have. Do you want to go first or you want to go last? That's a question. Just remember though, if your presentation is solid, it really doesn't matter because it's your presentation. It's not your competitors, but you definitely have to have a strong understanding of your competition in the marketplace. Here's some things about about the cleaning company's competition. I'm not going to go through all these, but these are some things that in his model that they're looking for. And he shares. Here we go. We talk about differentiation, what sets you apart from your competition. I won't beat this one up. You guys know this. It's critical that you understand what your factors are that you want to share. You want to have them and understand them like the back of your hand. And you want to understand how they relate to your competition. Remember, you don't want to talk negatively about your competition. Just share the facts. Here's some things that basically we just talked about. You really want to share points that your customers would actually care about. You may have a wealth of different facts that you want to share with, your clients. But if they're not really concerned about them, they don't hold value. So it's only the ones that hold value. Now, some critical ones to always have is, does it save them money? Does it save them time? Does it give them new business opportunities? Or does it make them more efficient? Those are some things that you may want to have and understand so you can share. Here we go with the differentiation factors that we're talking about. You can, read these. Basically, they're all, positive in this case. I like a cleaning company that comes on time, gets done on time, leaves the property clean and neat, and I don't have to worry about them, that's great. That's the best thing about having a cleaning company. But remember, this is just an example for that company. Let's talk about marketing and sales as it relates to your pitch and presentation. You need to understand where your customers are, who you're pitching to, why you're pitching to them. You need to understand what market they're in today. You need to understand who and how you're going to sell to them and address their needs. So before you get into that, you need to have honest conversations with them to ask them what their issues are. And even before you do a presentation, you need to ask some questions about that. Now, if you're doing an elevator pitch, that's like your first pass, all right? Like, for example, if you're dating and you needed to go out and ask your partner or a future partner or a young lady to go out with you, you may want to start with, you know, I'd love to have an opportunity to talk with you a little bit and just be quite honest, you know? So same thing, when you're talking to a new client, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your business. What does your business do? Oh, very good. You know, how's it going in today's market? Okay, so you need to have talking points that you feel comfortable with as well. That's part of the marketing and sales channel. This is a summation of where your clients are, different marketing tools that you can use, and sales. There's a big difference between sales and marketing. Marketing is going to be a lead-in. Sales is going to be the process to get them to use your products and services to solve their issues. I like to go down to the, I guess, the next to the bottom. It says the client is sent a follow-up email to encourage them to move forward. You should always do that. You should send a follow-up email in any situation. How about this? You do a bang-up presentation at a client that you met at the Chamber of Commerce. You do a wonderful presentation to them, but you never follow up to say, you know what, I really enjoyed the opportunity to present to you. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'd love to address them. Oh, and by the way, did you read today's information about the marketplace? I'd love to talk with you more. Look forward to hearing back from you. And here's a little survey on my presentation. Could you take it and get back to me? It really provides positive information. Okay, now what did we do there? You thanked them for the meeting. You also followed up very politely, but you also asked them to take action. I think that's very critical for you to do and be consistent in doing it and be authentic. You know, they know if you're faking it, be authentic. And don't be afraid, and this is something that a lot of the entrepreneurs don't want to do, but some of them more senior, you may take notes. Take notes. You know, you're looking down at your phone. You shouldn't be looking down at your phone. You should be doing a presentation. You should be talking and interacting and having great eye contact while you do it. All right, questions. We're going to take questions and then we're going to go into some pitch prep. Any questions out there?
Yeah, so Dr. Stephen Jones has a question. So would a sales pitch on a website link, would a sales pitch on a website like LinkedIn be different from a face-to-face pitch?
Yes. Yes. A LinkedIn is basically, it's a call to action to have that individual reach back out to you to have you know, an ongoing dialogue. When you're face-to-face with someone, which I think is a lot better, you get to read that individual's reactions. You see his facial expressions or his facial expressions and how he reacts to the situation. So a face-to-face situation is different than anything that you're going to get over LinkedIn or any other social media channel. Yes, good question, but yes, it is.
All right. Another question is like, are there templates available to use as a starting reference to form a pitch?
Yes, we do have some templates that first off, you'll be getting this deck. And there are some templates that we can send you, and I'll make sure, and Ebenezer, we should make sure that we send out a template on making, doing a presentation and basically doing a pitch. But
Right, sure.
and you can also go out to the internet and just say, you want to pitch practice, and there's different methodologies that they'll walk you through to do it. I still like doing a pitch to someone I know on a topic that I don't know, where I have to investigate it, understand it a little bit, and then pitch it back to them. Okay?
Yeah. The next question, someone was asking if the link of this recording will be sent. I think yes, automatically once the meeting is done after a few days, the link of the recording will be shared with attendees. All right, so I think that those are the only questions we have now.
Okay. All right, very good. I don't know if anybody has small children, but if you have small children from the age of 4 to probably to 10, they pitch you all the time as a parent or as a grandparent. They always do. You go into a candy store, they ask, but they'll sometimes pitch it to you by saying, if I'm good, can I get this? So they're asking a question, but they're also pitching you with the fact that they're good. So, we do this easily in our day-to-day interactions. So it's not a hard practice, but it is a practice that you need to actually go out and rehearse, go through it, practice. Don't be afraid to write down the key points that you want to get across, and you go from there. All right, we're going to go into a little pitch prep. First thing, how about that for a lead-in? I guess I looked at the slide deck a little bit. Practice, practice, practice. Critical. I guess that's the Allen Iverson reference. You want to edit out sections that may not be relevant to your audience. I did that. I took this deck home. I went through it. I sat at the kitchen and said, all right, I need to go through this entire deck to make sure I can get it done in an hour. You can add slide titles. Remember, most people, when they're looking at a deck, 3 or more points are usually lost. So if you go beyond 3 points on any type of slide, you lose those individuals looking at the slide. How many people will go to a presentation, the presenter's a great speaker or she's a great speaker, and then she pops up a slide that you can't read, number one, and there's too much information on it. It's awful. You sit there and it's like, I'm wasting my time. Everybody's looking down at their phones because they're not getting anything from it. So it's the power of 3. 3 critical points, 3 solutions that you can provide for a client. All right? 3 opportunities that maybe you can afford to him or her. Power of 3. Most coaches will only tell their players in a huddle or a meeting 3 critical things. That's it. So why do we go beyond that? So think about that. Here we go. Too many slides. These are pitch problems and common errors. Too much information. Too many words on the slides. Too many product details or too many financial details. I was on a webinar last week and it was really painful. I sat through, it was a government presentation. The speaker was very boring. He was very monotone. I probably drank 3 or 4 cups of coffee during the presentation. I was on there for 2.5 hours. They were putting up slides from across the world. They weren't relevant to me here in Philadelphia. But at the end of it, the presenter who did the very end was very solid. They said, if you've watched this entire presentation, I commend you. So they thanked us for watching it. But he then said, here's the 3 critical things I want you to take away from this presentation. So he did a wonderful job at summarizing the presentation. So I was hoping he would do the next one, but he didn't. So I had 2 more days of it. Just remember this slide deck. This slide here, too many slides, too many words, and too many details on the slides. Here's some pitch examples and templates. I don't know if you can watch this, but I'm going to click it on. Can you give me a hands up if you can hear and see this?
I'm so stressed out. Trying to plan
Hi, Mark. The audio
I can't hear
isn't
it.
the best. Yeah,
Beg your pardon?
the
I can't
the
hear it.
audio isn't clear.
delivering the party. 1 hour back. We'll bring you so have an incredible memorable party. We deliver food, talent,
The volume is low?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I can't hear it at all, actually.
delivering
All right, we'll send this out as a part of it. We'll send it out so everyone will have it, but it's a wonderful demonstration of a pitch where a gentleman really touches on all facets of a great presentation very quickly. He's very captivating. So we'll send that out so everyone gets it. I'm sorry about that. We'll skip those. We'll send those out. Let's talk about best practices for in-person and virtual presentations. Key rules about a presentation: be sincere, be brief. Now, the third one I disagree with totally. And when I was given this slide deck and I talked to my managers, they said, well, that's the standard. And I was like, okay, how many presentations did that person ever do? I'm not one to be seated when I do a presentation. Matter of fact, I rather stand. Now, I am 6'7", so you need to carry the room. But I saw a young lady do a presentation, and she's still in this marketplace, and she's grown her cleaning business very, very rapidly. And she's only about 5'6", but she's a dynamo. She'll never sit in the presentation. She actually gets in the presentation and walks around because she's captivating. She'll ask questions to the individuals in the audience to basically, and they're not questions that she gave someone. She'll just frame it in such a way. For example, she'll say, haven't you ever experienced, and then share that experience. But it gets to a point that she wants to get over. You know, you need to be able to do that. So the third part of this is be sincere, yes. Be brief, yes. Be seated, nah. You want to captivate the room. Very few people do a presentation and you're seated. So I disagree with that one. But I do agree with these. Be clear, be concise. Be prepared to present without slides or technology. Take your phone away. Don't be using your phone to look down to do your presentation. You should not do it. Appropriate clothing, look the part. If you're presenting and you're going to be a manager or you're presenting to a group of individual architects, and I'm just using some general industries, you need to look the part, okay? You know, not everyone is going to be, you know, basically able to go in and, you know, you got a hoodie on, you know, it's got your company logo on, but it's not that type of meeting that you want to be in. Now, I went to a meeting like 2 weeks ago, and the gentleman was doing a pitch, and it was for his ice cream company. Very unique. He had his ice cream hat on. He had his ice cream polo on. So he was representing his brand. So he looked quite professional, and he was representing his brand. But look the part. It's still important. Know who's in the room. We talked about that. Get there early. Check out the room. Be comfortable. Don't come running in late to do it. That's the worst thing you can do, is be late. Make eye contact. It's critical. It's critical for you to make eye contact because they will believe in you if you're making eye contact with them. Okay? Arrive on time. All right, we threw that one on there. I'm sorry. Be authentic. You need to be authentic. Not everyone is going to be able to be funny, be engaging, but you have your own authentic self. So be your authentic self. Now, I don't know, many of us saw a movie, Hitch. I think Will Smith was in it. And he talked specifically when he was talking to one of his clients about being authentic. So remember that.
6, 7, 8, 4, 9, 4, 10, 4.
Please shut off any phones or anything of that nature. Let's talk about the don'ts here. When you're doing a presentation or putting one together, you don't want to belittle the competition. You don't want to make false assumptions. You don't want to do that. You don't want to become arrogant. You want to be confident. You don't want to ignore some of the participants. Don't assume that the man in the suit, how about that, is the decision maker. I'll talk about a story there. You don't want to go off script unless you have a story that's relevant, and you don't want to run over on time, which I'm coming close to doing. But you want to make sure that these are practices that you want to make sure you don't go down this road. These are some critical things. A story that I would definitely want to give you as reference. We were doing a presentation to the city of Philadelphia for the sale of Love Park. Now, everyone knows where Love Park is. We were doing a presentation for the sale of Love Park. Think about that. This has gone through. We were down to 2 different companies that were looking to do the presentation, and we had given that right. Making a long story into a short story, there was a young lady that was running the meeting. We had the wrong person during the presentation, and he assumed that she wasn't in charge. She was very much in charge. We lost that opportunity, and to this day, I think about it. Does anyone have any idea what that deal was worth? Well, I'll tell you, it was $27 million. That's why I still remember it. So don't assume anything. Treat everyone professionally. Treat everyone professionally. All right, let's go on. Here are some other things. Look at the camera. Be forthcoming. Be authentic. You'll see the 2 different pictures there. Here's one. Well, I know this lady. She's actually, she's the executive director of our Small Business Development Center. And she's making a nice point there. One, she looks like she had a hangover. The other one, she's totally engaged with a beautiful smile, engaging and welcoming. And as a recap, remember we talked about 3 things. The elevator pitch. 3 minutes, introduce your business. Who, what, and why. Sales presentation, varies in length. Talk about your unique value proposition to solve the client's problem. Third one, for fundraising and investors, typically longer. Remember, the investor wants to make sure he can trust you to deliver the results so he or she can make money. Remember that. This is a great recap for you. I'm not going to go through this one again because I want to stay on time. Let's wrap up. Want to share with you. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's added value to yourself and your sales process. Be clear with your ask. Know your audience. Be prepared. Practice, practice, practice. Now, the next steps, record yourself. Give your pitch to your family or a family member, okay? Get an opportunity to practice your public speaking. You can always reach out to us here at the Small Business Development Center at Temple. We have a great team of consultants. They're all very knowledgeable. They're very engaging. We actually do a pitch practice. And I look forward to working with you on this. And I am a big proponent of reading and practicing. There's a great book out there called You Are a Brand. And that book really gives you a window to building your own brand, but it also talks a little bit about presenting yourself in a marketplace. Still critical to our success and everything we do. I want to thank you all for sitting in here with me today. and I'm going to entertain any questions that are out there, and I'm right on time.
Well,
Ebenezer?
thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Roger had a question. It says, how different would your pitch look like when you are a new business in terms of credibility and value proposition? Would you talk more about your background instead of business experience?
Good question. If you're a new business jumping into a new area, your credibility in that area needs to be probably leveraged off of who your partners are, or what information, or how you went, developed into getting that business or getting into it. For example, if I was opening up a new company, and I was opening up a consulting firm for technology. And I would make sure that within my management team, I had two or three people who had a wealth of experience in that area. And I would leverage off of their experience as my company's experience. An architect who decides to go out on his or her own would go back to the experiences that she or he had within the old business. He still got the experience, even though he wasn't working under his own umbrella. That's how I would address that.
All right. Thank you. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Mark, once again for the presentation. I've posted a survey link in the group chat, and we would appreciate it if everyone goes through and completes it, because we are required by our founders to continue to provide no-cost consulting, and your feedback would really be appreciated so that we can better do these presentations and webinars. Thank you. I think someone is asking for the author of the book you mentioned,
yes,
Mark.
The author is Catherine Kaput, and I think it's Kaputa. Catherine, and it's You Are a Brand.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Quick question, Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
Will we be getting this whole slideshow sent to our email so we could review it on our own?
Yes, David, you will be. And David, it is funny that this is a cleaning company, yes?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yes, you will be.
Thank you.
Any other questions I can address out there? Well, thank you all, everybody. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
Be silent out there. I was like, you know what? I'm leaving.